hepsini öğrensin itiren işe kendi bu evet. All right. Questions and answers, feel free. I've just informed the people that we are live streaming, so they should be arriving anytime soon. What's on your mind? If your brothers and sisters leave your comments or call in directly, it's on you. It's on you, brothers and sisters. At least give me something to flow about. I'm in a flowing mood, so if you have any topic you want to bring up, then feel free. You have plenty of material, plenty of videos to go through, to scroll through. And if you never called in before, then feel free. You have to call people to action. Let me check the sound.
Je vois à la télé, vous êtes élu service client de l'année.
Mic check, mic check.
Je vois à la télé, vous êtes élu service client.
Mic check, mic check.
Je vois à la télé, vous êtes élu.
Okay. Funny sound. The funny sound was the odd. Okay. Feel free to call in, brothers and sisters. Leave your comments. Come on in, brothers and sisters. Come on in. I've shared the calling link and I'm sharing it again right now. If you have any comments, and feel free. If you have any questions, and feel free. You can use the chat. You don't need to call in for those of you who are shy. And those who are not shy, and come and holler and say what's up. Give me something to flow about. Come on in, brothers and sisters. I have time this time. We have Alvin White who wrote, "Keep up the great work." Thank you. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free. That will give me something to flow about. And if you want to call in, then feel free as well. Understand, brothers and sisters, it is always a good look when you call in. But sometimes it feels like what we're all about is illegal. I'm aware that Abrahamic believers do not see us in a good light for obvious reasons. So, for the young brothers and sisters, who are tempted, who would like to go deeper into the traditional African ways of life, it's some encouragement for them to see that, okay, it's legitimate. You understand? It's been 17 years that I have started my website, and over the 17 years, a majority of the people who are quote unquote comedic or traditional, following traditional African ways, the majority of them are anonymous and unidentified. And it's a shame. It's really, really a shame. They keep finding stuff in Egypt. For those who don't know, I'm on TikTok now, so it's not hard to find me. Not all the social networks. I'm out forever. Come on in, brothers and sisters. Give me something to flow about. If you don't have any questions, if you do have a question, then leave it in the chat. If you do want to call in, now is the time to take the opportunity. Funny thing is that when when we have people on the panel, that's when people try to call. Take advantage when there's nobody. Beauty Road, you're an amazing man. Thank you. If you have any questions, then feel free. If you want to call in, then feel free. But you want to give me something to flow about. Okay, let me ask you then. I will ask a question. Alvin and Beauty, how did you find about my channel? How long did you find about my channel? And where are you located? You don't need to say the city if you don't want to. Beauty asked, what book should you start with? I'm just now coming out of Christianity. I don't think I have it right here. I don't think I have it right here. Oh, yes, it is there. It is here. This one is a French version. I have to finish it first. It's really close to 700 pages long. Well, actually, sorry, close to 600 pages long. I kept saying that it's almost 700 pages. Oh, we cannot even, okay, it's because of the background. It's because of the background. That's funny. Will I manage? Will I succeed? There it is. So that's the French version, but there is an English translation. This is the great Theophile Manga, who also has been scammed by some funny guy in France that they try to present as the best I ever did it, or the best I ever does it. A very known scammer, Pan African scammer, like the majority of them are. And I'm talking about people nowadays. I'm not talking about people who initiated that movement. But this one here, the Maxims of Ptahotep, or the Wisdom of Ptahotep, it's very difficult to find this book by that particular author. Other people have translated it. I think it's a good start. Good advice, it's good wisdom, really. Beauty wrote, California, I've been watching for over a year. Okay, you see that's quite amazing to me, because sometimes there's individuals who just happen to stumble upon my channel because I was live streaming, or they just came across the video. But a fair bit of time, people tell me that they knew about my channel for quite a long time. I mean, 1 year is a long time. A year is a long time, and other people, know me for longer than that. You know what I'm saying? Now, Beauty wrote, my parents were preachers. I was always lost in the church. I feel better reading about Kemet than I do the Bible. My life is better without Jesus. Oh, some people will be offended by this statement. And well, feel free if you want to call in. And for anybody else I want to call in, use a call link. You can use your smartphone, your PC, your Mac, your tablet. It's all new. We have some people who say that the Bible is Black history. Actually, someone wrote a book with that title, and aren't we supposed to step our game up? I mean, some people today still believe that the Canaanites were black people. I'm wondering, is there any record of Canaanites calling themselves Hebrew Israelites? How long ago have anyone referred to a group of people as Hebrew Israelites? Isn't that very recent? I asked that question regarding the Moors as well. Did they call themselves Moors? Did they call themselves Moors? Did they call fellow black people Moors? Ivan is asking, what do you think that more of our brothers and sisters? I spared the coffin nose. Why do you think that more of our brothers and sisters don't know about the teachings of Ma'at? Well, it's a very good question. The people who have the largest audience, the entertainers, the actors, politicians, it seems like none of them, or an extremely small amount of them, refer to Kemet. Earth, Wind, and Fire, that legendary group or band, they had a lot of imagery from Kemet. Um, it is indeed a fact that for the most part, when it comes to teaching about Kemet, it is restricted to the area of the so-called conscious community. And it needs to change. We need places of our own, places where we can meet, places where we can build, places where we can strive economically. But throughout the years, you always had some fence riders who try to sabotage your efforts. I did roll with some people who sabotaged my efforts. Every Sunday we used to meet, and I used to teach them Meduneta, the Swahili, and we used to do our thing. And the pedophile defenders, um, Abrahamic fence riders, came on the attack smoothly. Nothing new, really. Now, Beauty wrote, I don't believe in the Hebrew Israelite theory. Neither do I. So back to the question by Alvin, why do you think that more of our brothers and sisters don't know about the teachings of Ma'at? Um, we have plenty of people who use the imagery and symbolism and spirituality of Kemet, of Ma'at, but they are on some fence riding tip. And as time goes, I'm trying to be more and more diplomatic, and I'm trying to refrain from using names whenever possible. But you have some people, including Moors, who have been doing that for a very long time. I see that less now, maybe because I'm spending less time on Facebook. But I remember back then on Facebook, I would see so many Moors who will have some Kemetic names or names derived from Kemetic words or hieroglyphic words, if you will. And at the end, you will have a bay or you will have an L. Some of them don't have the bay or the L at the end, but you might see with them wearing a fez. It's funny because even the fez, what they're wearing, is this something that we used to wear in ancient time? From what I've seen, this is something that was that the Turks used to wear. Maybe in Morocco, they will wear that. But it's all good. It's all good. What is our original language? What are our original languages? Did we used to speak Arabic or Hebrew? Every now and then I'm hearing people say, well, you have some tribal people in Africa that still speak Hebrew to this day. We have so many people speak French and English to this day. That doesn't make them French people, indigenous, original French people, or original indigenous British people. The Abrahamic spell is very strong. Our parents were into it. Many of us grew up into it. But we have a new generation now. They did not grow up into it. They had parents who taught them better. And that generation, I hope, I expect, and I believe will do their thing. But the young generation, beware. When you see people fence riding, try to stay away from them because the gap or the line between a fence rider and a trader is very narrow. And I think also that many people who claim to be Kemetic, besides having a Kemetic name, they don't really know much about Kemet or about Ma'at. So they are not in a position to teach people or give information about Kemet and Ma'at. And then we have a lot of people who use the Kemetic teachings to make correlations about Abrahamic belief system, and they present those Abrahamic belief system as if this is ultimately something that derives from us. Then our people are comfortable remaining in those foreign belief systems. If anyone wants to choose a belief system that suits him or her, more power to him or her. But to try to blacken those belief systems and try to change the ethnicity of the initiators of those belief systems, well, that's kind of a setback, don't you think? Well, feel free with your comments and questions, brothers and sisters. Thank you for the thumbs ups. We have four thumbs ups. We started 20 minutes ago, really. And we don't have any thumbs down yet. That will come later, I guess. Oh, by the way, I can never repeat that enough, but whoever wants to learn the Medu Nature, I'm giving classes, and you can actually hear testimonials at the end of the live stream videos. But um, I love teaching it, so whoever's interested, do not hesitate and take a step towards the next level of being able to read directly from the artifacts, not just the books. Because, like I said, very often to the learners of the Medu Nature, it feels so good when you go to a museum and you read directly from artifacts because you have so many different types of artifacts where the writing of the hieroglyphic is appearing. Now we have Lateris Aferondi who wrote Good Morning All, and we have Beauty who wrote Where Can We Take Lessons? There are two ways, two options. Now the private one-on-one class for 1 hour, $10 for 1 hour. That's a private class one-on-one. And people can send their availability to me at this email address: bossstylyx@msn.com. The email address appears here as well. There. Triple S. bossstylyx@msn.com. I'll also put it in the chat. Or people can just join my channel. You should see it says join, and you will see that the membership is like I wonder how much they put in dollars because it's 15 euros. We should be like well, let's see the conversion. Euros to USD. Oh yeah, $17.52. So let's say less than $18 for a monthly membership, which will allow you to participate in group classes. You see, so feel free. You're welcome, Beauty. Feel free. And as we will have more people, then we will do different groups for different languages. Now we have Anthony Harris, Hotep to you, Sen. And we have Melvin Jefferson, who wrote, Yo, I think I've seen you before. Your avatar rings a bell to me. You came in before on live streams, didn't you? So I give the Medu Nature classes. It is done online, just like this live stream. It's not public, it's private. Whether it's a one-on-one or the group classes, it's private. And I teach you the real deal. I introduce you to the Medu Nature, and you'll be able to read. At the end of the first class, I usually have people reading their first sentence. And in the first class, I go through the basic grammar, masculine, feminine, plural, suffix pronouns. And as we go along, we build the vocabulary and learn some new grammar rules, learn some formulas that appear very often on artifacts. And some of you might have not scrolled through my channel, but I went through quite a fair bit of museums already. You have videos where I read some Medu Nature from the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, from the British Museum, London, England, from the Ashmolean Museum, Oxford, England, from um, the museum in Lyon, which is in south of France, Geneva Museum, Switzerland, Torino Museum, Italy. I did that. Is it Napoli that I've uploaded, or I think it's Florence Museum. I haven't uploaded yet the material from the Napoli Museum, but I have a few museums in Italy as well. Melvin is confirmed that he has been here before. And once again, I'm sharing the calling link for whoever would like to call. If you never called in before, then holler. Even if you don't stay long, it'll make me happy really for anyone to call in and say, well, so particularly those who never called in before. But feel free with your questions, brothers and sisters. But understand this, like I was saying, you learn the meta nature and you are able to go in museums and read at least some formulas, because some formulas uh, appear quite often, quite regularly. So on most stelas or artifacts of significant sizes, artifacts that mention some royalty, then you will find those glyphs that I'm teaching you or introduce you to. Now, prophecy, the first word, what's Ma'at? Sorry, I'm new here. Well, Ma'at, there is a deity, Ma'at, female deity, and there is also the principle of Ma'at, which is the main thing that the inhabitants of Kemet or ancient Egypt used to abide by. Basically, Ma'at is can be translated by truth, justice, order. And we have the opposite, which is Isefet or Isfet, which is chaos, disorder, evil. So there is something that people refer to as a principle of Ma'at or negative confession. Amazingly, it looks like there was some case of inspiration, not to say plagiarism, when it comes to the principles of Ma'at and the Ten Commandments. So if brothers and sisters never heard about the negative confessions, and feel free to type that on any search engine. Now, I might have a link about that. I'll have a look right now. Yes, I'm sharing the link for my art. You have the principles, 42 negative confessions, as they are called. Oh, I can see a mistake that I will correct now. Let me correct that mistake and keep the comments going, brothers and sisters, okay? That mistake must have been there for so many years. Ivan White is asking, should these museums return our artifacts to the rightful place? They will not do that. They will not do that. They make too much money. The number one source of income for Egypt is the tourism. And lately, Egypt has been very busy building new museums, not to mention the new uh, Grand Egyptian Museum, which will be the largest museum in the world, or largest archaeological museum in the world. So now African Science is asking, do you see Kwanzaa as religious? Kwanzaa is a fraud. Kwanzaa doesn't have anything to do with African spirituality or tradition. Prophecy 1 is asking, do you have religion? Well, I would say no. I would say no. I'll try to follow the path of my ancestors who did good and acted good and built great civilization. The sad thing is that the inhabitants of Kemet are seen in a bad eye simply because of religious writing, who said that they did bad things. It's sad, isn't it? I write a book about y'all, and I say, well, you guys, acted messed up. You enslaved people, and there it is. Prophecy 1 is asking, so it's more like a way of life, a philosophy. Now I will get back to Kwanzaa. I just want to correct that mistake on the article. It's a W that I need to remove. So let me do that now. English version of the website. See, it's diverse. Now I'll move this one up, and then I'll upload it so it can be corrected. Now it'll be there, and then it will be diverse there. Refresh the page. Corrected, great. So let me deal with Kwanzaa. The article is long already before. I will share it. I'll put Kwanzaa fraud in the chat. Okay. Now, African Science wrote, I need your analysis why Kwanzaa is a fraud. Great. It's a good timing because we're reaching the end of the year, so people will celebrate that. And I think I will change the title to this video to Kwanzaa Fraud. I'll do that right now. The fraud. Let me make sure that I didn't have a title similar recently. Okay, the one I had was in French, so that's okay. So let me enlarge the screen. This article was written a few years ago, in 2012 actually. Time flies now. Looks like I cannot make the screen larger. Okay, yes I can. Now I will scroll through a few parts. I will not read exactly all of it. What's going on now? Okay. Now how big is it now? Okay, I can probably. If you can put the full screen option, okay. Okay. Let me get to the nitty gritty. Now, Karenga is suspected of having been an FBI agent with the Anti-Panther mission. For those who don't know, 2 Black Panther members were killed by Karenga's organization, who's called US, who was called US, okay? Now, some people will say, no, that's counter, pro, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the nitty gritty. The Kwanzaa cult and Jewish RBG candle lighting. Remember, you have the link in the chat, okay? And the article is called well, you can type in Karenga's Ghost. That's what I usually type on a search engine, okay? And the article is by Mukasa Africa Ma'at, who is now a PhD. When he wrote that article, he was not a PhD yet. So here is the part that says the Kwanzaa cult and Jewish RBG candle lightning. And amazingly, or interestingly, African Science wrote Karenga being a convicted felon doesn't make a made-up celebration fraudulent. Well, we'll see why it's fraudulent. We'll see. While Kwanzaa events have helped raise some African consciousness due less to Karenga and more to local activists, many who are not associated with Karenga at all, the holiday can promote a superficial, even pseudo consciousness of African lifestyle. Kwanzaa has been used to promote the personality worship of Karenga. Holly West interviewed Karenga in 1978 for the Washington Post and wrote the following: I created Kwanzaa, laughed Ron Karenga, like a teenager who's just divulged a deeply held, precious secret. People think it's African, but it's not. I wanted to give black people a holiday of their own. So I came up with Kwanzaa. I said it was African because, black people in this country wouldn't celebrate it if they knew it was American. Also, I put it around Christmas because I knew that's when a lot of bloods, meaning blacks, will be partying. The holiday is not authentically African, as Karenga said himself. The Jewish Hanukkah festival of lights begins on the 25th of the Jewish calendar in Kislev and lasts 8 days. It is roughly around Christmas on December 25th. A candle is burned each day with the servant or helper candle. This is strangely similar to the Kwanzaa lighting ceremony, where the servant candle is replaced with the black candle. Instead of 8 candles and the one helper candle like the Jewish celebration, Kwanzaa uses 7 candles with the colors red, black, and green. I call them Jewish RBG, red, black, and green, candles for this very fact to note an African surface painted over a Jewish ritual. Many others who celebrate Kwanzaa do so without the Jewish RBG candles. These elders instead pour libation, a time honored and unquestioned African tradition of thousands of years. We must be very serious about the rituals we pass down to generations. We must be very careful with who we call leaders. I will discuss more of the question around Karenga's leadership in the next section. So, for those who didn't know, Kwanzaa is plagiarism of the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. All of you who celebrate Kwanzaa are really celebrating a knockoff version of Hanukkah. Hence why African science, my stance is that Kwanzaa is a fraud. And African science wrote that he read that before. And as for the Jewish holiday Hanukkah, African science wrote is Asian Flag Day, furthermore because of the influence of the French flag. The Haitian flag came out after they ripped the white part of the French flag. That's symbolic. And the Haitians don't claim, well, it comes from Africa. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the fraud is. The inaccuracy of claiming that this is something African, something practiced in Africa. Brothers and sisters, don't be scared of letting go. And it's amusing to me when people, and I'm not talking about you, African scientists, but it's amusing to me when some people say, well, our people need to wake up and understand that Christmas is not something for us, and they come up with Kwanzaa. Christmas is not an African celebration. Kwanzaa is not an African celebration. Now, for those who don't know about the torture of black women done by Karenga and his homies, we're going to read about that. It is not, I'll put it on the screen just for the record. But African Science wrote, I don't know, one person says Kwanzaa originated in Africa. But brother, haven't you heard? When, let me read it again. Now, this is the writer Holly West. It's not even showing. Share screen. There it is. So this is the writer Holly West, who interviewed Karenga in 1978. And Holly West wrote the following, and that's Washington Post once again. I created Kwanzaa, laughed around Karenga like a teenager who's just developed a deeply held, precious secret. People think it's African. People think it's African. So Karenga made people think that it was African, but it's not. I wanted to give black people a holiday of their own, so I came up with Kwanzaa. I said it was African because black people in this country wouldn't celebrate it if they knew it was American. So I answered your question when you asked. Well, it was not a question, but it was a statement. You wrote, I don't know, one person says Kwanzaa originated in Africa. Karenga himself said that he claimed it was African. Now we're going to move on to the torture of black women. In 1971, Karenga was convicted of kidnapping and torturing two women from his U.S. organization, or US organization. He was sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison. After obtaining the original Los Angeles Times articles from this time period, the case appears no less bizarre. During the trial, Deborah Jones described the brutal physical abuse inflicted on her and another 20-year-old woman, Gail Davis, by Ron Karenga and 3 of his followers because they were suspected of poisoning Karenga. Jones testified in graphic detail how she and Davis were whipped with an electrical cord and beaten with a karate baton after being ordered to remove their clothes. She further testified that a hot soldering iron was placed in Miss Davis's mouth and placed against Miss Davis's face, and that one of her own large toes was tightened in a vice. According to the article, Karenga, head and founder of the US organization, and others also put detergent and running hoses in their mouths. The last bit was added by Karenga, who was upset because she, Jones, would not cry. The reason behind the abuse was apparently because Karenga feared that the two women had placed crystals in his food that would kill him. According to damning testimony by his wife, Brenda Lorraine Karenga, she heard him tell the victims that he wanted them to reveal where they were hiding the poison. She further testified that she heard screams and yells coming from the garage where the defendants were holding Deborah Jones and Gail Davis, and noises which sounded like someone was being whipped. The Times reported that during the trial that scars from the cuts on Jones's back were shown to members of the jury, and that Jones testified that Karenga finally let them go, but only after threatening to shoot them in the hands. There's some more. But the funny thing, in a very bizarre testimony, Karenga attempted to defend himself by claiming that he last saw the woman leave his Inglewood, California home to find other lodging, and that they appeared healthy looking when they left. Furthermore, he testified that he did not know why his wife testified against him, and that his wife and children had not fled to Virginia to get away from him, but rather he had sent his wife and children away for rest and recuperation. So the women are tortured, but that's his wife that goes for rest and recuperation. And his own wife testified against him. He went to jail for torturing black women, not when he was young and wild and running free and unconscious, but when he was a leader of a black organization. He was in his 30s. So I will leave it there. But I have shared the video of Dale Jones stating publicly that those women had objects inserted in their vaginas. And legally, in some countries, it is considered rape when an object is forcibly inserted in a private part area or genitals. African Science wrote, everyone pretty much knows it was made up. The issue that it was made up is not the worst thing, the worst thing is that it was plagiarized from Hanukkah. Now, African Science wrote that was 1978. In 2021, people think it's African. Many people think it's African indeed. Feel free to ask a question. Arid Ma'at wrote, it is important to reevaluate your belief system, to check in with yourself and question your belief and why you choose to believe them. Alvin White wrote, this is the reason why we need to read and study for ourselves and not just believe what is said. Very serious. And Arid Ma'at concurs with Alvin White. Brothers and sisters, if I kidnap and torture two black women and I go to jail because of that, will you celebrate the holiday that I come up with by plagiarizing an Abrahamic holiday? I don't think you will. African Science wrote, Karenga was convicted for that crime. I don't see the relevance to Kwanzaa. If Kwanzaa was a celebration of Karenga, I'd get the analysis. But brother, haven't you read? Kwanzaa, well, okay. You can say that Kwanzaa is not the celebration of Karenga, but Karenga came up with it by plagiarizing a Jewish holiday called Hanukkah. It's like the so-called Seven Circle Quran, which is a plagiarized, which has plagiarized the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ and some other book. I think the most plagiarism was done from the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, but there's also another book that was plagiarized. What's the legitimacy of that? I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I might as well just, plagiarize Christmas, put an African spin on it, and there we go. No, we shouldn't do that as people. And are we supposed to remain the laughing stock of humanity? We were talking about Kwanzaa with French speakers. One brother was in Canada. He speaks English as well. And he was saying that he was talking with a Jewish person, and the Jewish person told him, hey, why you guys copy our stuff? Why don't you get your own stuff? I'm paraphrasing, but that's about that. And now African Science wrote, is the Haitian flag a plagiarism of the French flag? Well, since you're repeating the same thing, I'm going to repeat the same thing as well. Haitians ripped the white part of the French flag, and that's how the Haitian flag came about. You don't hear Haitians talking about, oh, we are French. Our root is France. We follow the French custom, and they don't put in work. We know what they did to the French people. So I don't think your question has any relevance. My question to you is also, are you okay to celebrate the plagiarized version of the Jewish holiday Hanukkah? Maybe your Hebrews were like, and that suits you. And to each his own. Will I be able to convince people not to celebrate Kwanzaa? I don't think so. I'm merely informing the people so they know about the origin. And if people want to still celebrate it, then hey, it's up to them. Alvin is thanking Eric Mara. African Science wrote, that's my point. It was an adoption. Adoption, well, no. When the Haitians ripped the white part of the French flag to come up with their flag, it was not an adoption. They ripped the white part. It's full of symbolism. Haitians don't celebrate anything that has to do with France. With that flag, they celebrate the liberation, the first Black Republic. The analogy is not even close to the reality of the subject matter at hand. Obviously, it appears that you are still cool with Kwanzaa. Hey, I would not be able to change your mind. But then, whoever celebrates Kwanzaa should not tell our people, well, you know what? There is history and his story, and we need to learn our true story. Because whoever is fair should admit, well, this is a plagiarism of the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. So we don't have any business celebrating it because this is not our root, this is not our culture. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. And it's funny that people make excuses or try to rationalize the issue because whenever something is popular, the more popular something is, and the more people make excuses for it. R. Kelly was very, 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 very popular. But now I don't think many people will want to associate themselves with him. He was just convicted. He was just uh, found guilty. So, for a strange reason, I read that it's in the month of May 2022 that he will receive his sentence. Kelly was popping. People didn't know his ways. Some people might say, well, they're trying to put him down and false charges and stuff like that. But hey, it's not the first time that we hear stuff. African Science wrote, I agree they copied the candles. But they copied more than the candles. The time period of the year. African Science wrote, wouldn't not say that the holiday is merely a plagiarized Hanukkah. I don't understand that sentence. Brothers and sisters, come on now. 2021, y'all still afraid to call in? Let me share the calling link again. Dang. Some of you brothers and sisters don't even want your voice to be heard. How about sister matron? I hopped in one of the live stream, and that wasn't just for you, African Science. That was a generic you. That was a generic you. It's an issue with the English language. The you can say itself from one person or can say for a several person. In French, we have two different terms. But anyway, that was for all of you. That was for all the audience or the listeners. Always feel free at any time to call in. So where was I? Yes, Sister Matron. I hopped in one of the live stream, and before I hopped in, there was one guy who was talking about we're not Africans and all that, So. A Moorish type of rhetoric. Some Asiatic black men have that type of rhetoric as well. And Brother Chris or Anthony Harris, he let us know, or let me know about some indigenous tribe or something like that. So something I didn't know about. And the guy modified his voice. He did not even want his voice to be heard. Now, sometimes I understand when people who have the weirdest philosophy or doctrines want to remain anonymous. That I understand. But for the people who uphold the Kemetic culture or different traditional African ways of life, I find it strange that they always want to be on the low, that they always want to hide, that they always want to remain private. And yet those same people sometimes talk about revolution, talk about fight and struggle. Now, people like Malcolm X and people like Martin Luther King, who had very different visions regarding the struggle, they still went about their ways. They still went about it how they saw fit in an environment that was extremely volatile and dangerous. We are not in the same conditions now. We are free to say, well, this is what I stand for. This is my belief. I'm not saying that we should just walk down the street to stepping in this peace and say that's what we're all about. But even online, African Science Road, do you know any original African holidays to celebrate? Well, there are some festivals from Kemet, but I'm not too familiar with them. See? Now, besides that, I will answer no. But we can find out there are some. There are indeed some. There are plenty actually. Um, you might have some that are more or less national, and you will have some that are particular to one's tribes. You see, we have Ja Speter who wrote the Upper Festival, the Uppet Festival. There's also the Said Festival. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, Heb. I have to double check. But brothers and sisters, don't let this kind of question fool you. As in, okay, you're saying Kwanzaa is fake, it's a fraud, then why should we celebrate? You don't have anything else for us to celebrate, then I don't want to hear it. That's not the way you should think about it. Everybody's free to just hit the books, the encyclopedia, and find out any traditional holiday. And there are plenty. African slash black holiday. African Science wrote, are you familiar with Dr. Amos Wilson? What do you think of him slash his books? I have not read his books yet. I wanted to purchase the blueprint for Black Power while I was living in England. But when I got down to that library, an email blast was sent to say, oh, we have those books, and, good prices and stuff like that. So took the coach, took me like 2.5 to 3 hours to get there. The blueprint for Black Power was just way too expensive. But I got myself Lila Africa's book, Nutricide. I knew about this book, African Holistic Health. I don't think they had it there. So I took Nutricide and it was a very good read. I heard plenty of lectures from Dr. Amos Wilson, and I think he was so amazing. Um, People might clarify, but I think he was a psychiatrist. He was so amazing. He was so amazing. I mean, it was very refreshing to hear him. So African Science wrote, start out with the falsification of African consciousness. Well, I see. I have so many books. I mean, I have, physical books, but you will not really see them like that. I have physical books, and I have plenty also on a PDF format. And I'm learning languages at the same time, and I'm teaching med nature. So I will go at my own pace. Well, African Science says he was a psychologist. I said that he was a psychiatric, and I said that people will clarify, but psychologist. And for those who never heard of him, there's plenty of videos. Well, back then there was, and I think there will be. Dr. Amos Wilson, Amos. Just like John Amos, who portrayed Kunta Kinte, adult, in the series Roots, which unfortunately was also plagiarized from a book called The African, written by a white dude. And there was an out of court settlement. Roots still gives us an overview of the slave trade on the US soil, the American ground. But if you want a more realistic portrayal or depiction of slavery, there was that movie called Goodbye Uncle Tom. A lot of people couldn't even finish watching that movie. Goodbye Uncle Tom. I used to share it back then. I remember when I shared it years ago, probably a decade ago, maybe more actually. Oh yes, it was more than a decade ago. I think it was like 2005, late 2004, somewhere 2005. When I shared it, my website was no longer available because I had exceeded the bandwidth limit. Now, on the pricing plans for website, you don't really necessarily have bandwidth limits, but back then you did. So I had to wait till the end of the month for my website to be live again. A bit like your calling plans. Um, Nowadays we kind of have unlimited plans, but back then you had so many hours. But anyway, I think I made my point. The main reason why people still hold on to Kwanzaa, still try to promote Kwanzaa, is because they found a way to make a considerable amount of money at the end of the year. And that's also one of the reasons why a lot of people remain in the Abrahamic belief system, because they're getting paid on a major level. You heard about mega churches. It's going to be very unlikely that those pastors, heads of mega churches, will stop their activities within the church, knowing that they are millionaires thanks to the church. It's understandable. African Science wrote, so how do you feel about Black people celebrating Mother's Day, Father's Day, etc.? I would say that we cannot necessarily say that it's wrong to celebrate the mother and the father. Say good day to you. Here's a present to you. But Father's Day, Mother's Day is not portrayed or presented as something African. See, that's the main thing. And I don't think Father's Day, Mother's Day was initiated by someone who tortured women, let alone Black women. African Science wrote, I do Kwanzaa because I like the several principles. Well, some people do the Abrahamic belief system way of life brought to us by people who enslaved us because they like the principles as well. So everybody have their own reasons. But the main thing is to be informed and know the origin of things. And then we come up with our conclusions. There's some things that are difficult to let go. I don't expect the majority of Abrahamic believers who have reached a certain age to change their ways because they have been indoctrinated for so long. Hey, we have Hale Rio, which is an elder. I'll put you on in a couple of seconds.
Let me just stop this.
Hey, we have Hale.
What's up? How are you?
It's highlight. It's pronounced highlight like. Stop this. Are we having an echo here?
Hey, we have Hale.
What's up? How are you?
Highlight
Okay, what I've done, brother, I've just muted you to try to ask you, by any chance, would you have any headset? Because the echo, the fact that you have the sound coming out of your computer, when you are live on the panel, it creates an echo. Would you have any headset by any chance, brother? The fact that you have the sound coming out of your computer, when you are live on the panel, it creates the echo. Would you have any headset by any chance, brother?
No, I do not have a headset.
You have the sound coming out.
Right. No. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, brother.
Right.
Do you have any headset
So,
by any chance, brother?
actually, so this probably won't work. Right. No. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, brother.
Right. So, actually, so this probably won't work.
Well, brother, do you have a smartphone by any chance? Because You can actually call in using your smartphone, and this way we will not have the echo. You can just click on the same link that I shared in the chat, and I'm going to share again. And this way you can just use it as if you have a call, and we will not have the echo because it will not be on loudspeaker. Now, in the meantime, while our brother is trying to connect with us with his smartphone, we have the African science who wrote the Abrahamic beliefs are BS. It's very strange that you write that, brother, because um, we have seen a case of a fraudulent holiday that is plagiarized from another holiday that derives from some Abrahamic belief system, and that was created by someone who tortured black women, but yet you don't say it's BS. And I think it's such a double standard. And it reminds me of someone who told me, well, our people need to understand that Christmas is rubbish, like they say in England, or BS, like they say in America. Oh, our brother is trying to talk to us. Yes, go ahead.
And I think it's such a double standard. It reminds me of someone who told me, well, our people need to understand.
1 minute. I need to do something. I need to do something.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Take your time, brother. I have some time now, so yes. I hope the brother will manage to reach us. And it sounded like he had an accent. I'm curious where the accent is from. I'm wondering if he's from England or some island that was colonized by the British. It did not really sound like a Jamaican accent to me, but I could not hear too well anyway. And we hope that our brother Highly Riot be able to call again. Brothers and sisters, by the way, you are allowed, or you have the right to support me financially, or in other words, to make a donation. There's PayPal, there is Cash App, and there is a super chat. When you do the super chat, people can see that you have contributed. So do not hesitate to do so if you can. It will be helpful. I have plenty of videos. I have hundreds of videos, maybe 1,000 videos. I put in a lot of work, but anyway, I'll stop there. What I would prefer really is that you join, that you become a member of this channel so that you can learn the middle lecture and we can go through it together. Because I have plenty of material from museums, and it will be an opportunity for you all to practice directly from the artifacts. African Science wrote, hymn torturing black women not relevant to the holiday to me. If Hitler came up with an African holiday, would you celebrate it? Just curious, just asking. I'm not trying to be funny, I'm not trying to make fun of you. Because as far as I'm concerned, it is relevant to the holiday, yes. To me, it is holiday. And we differ in our opinion, and we have the right to. That's how life is. We will never agree on everything. What's good is that you said up front, the answer is no. If Hitler came up with the African holiday, he would not celebrate it. And I'm wondering why. Maybe because Hitler killed, but why would you not celebrate it? Because I could say that whatever Hitler did is not relevant to the holiday. Why the double standard? Is it okay if Karenga tortures black women, but if a white man tortures black women, then it's not okay? I'm just wondering why you would not celebrate the holiday if Hitler came up with an African holiday. Why? What's the reason? Yes, Haley Griot, he's there.
So
welcome.
Is this better?
Much better. Feel free to speak. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, it's not a good time for me in my life. It's a very extremely poor time. I mean, it can't get no worse than this right now for me. But anyhow, um, I found I've been watching you for a hot minute or so, a few years actually. But let me just turn this stupid thing off. It's
I can hear
irritating me.
you.
No, I've just still got my computer on,
Oh, okay.
so it was irritating me. But yeah. So I find that this topic extremely interesting. I knew you were talking about it before. Um, yeah, the Kwanzaa thing, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, Kwanzaa. What's his name again?
Inga.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Jesus, I'm trying to remember. I'm a bit unsettled right now, but it's all good. Yeah, so
Are you?
my name is Haile. I call myself Haile Griot. As you can see the shirt right here. This is the Griot, the Griot shirt. This is actually a bookstore in Bermuda, relatively new, just opened up like last year, just before just before the student all started. And yeah, so just a bit about myself. How can I say? Uh, I've been like as you see, my name is Haile Griot, but my name is actually Haile Miriam. Yes, officially. I call myself Griot because I've been studying and sort of become a storyteller, so to speak. I've been trying to uncover the truth about our history. Um, um, so I started a class a few years ago. I joined some people and I started my own class a couple of years ago called African Science. It's about the global African presence, the knowledge of global African presence, not just limited to the geographical area known as Ethiopia, which I still have a problem with. But getting back to this Kwanzaa holiday, oh yeah, so I didn't finish talking about myself. So yeah, that's what I do. I started to search like 20 years. I'm gonna say 20 years ago because my grandson's like 20 years old. I went to Orthodoxy like 17. So um, um I something traumatic happened to. It was something traumatic in my life. But anyhow, I had to right after the 9/11 thing. I lost two people in that tragedy right there. But when I found out that I was like standing in the wrong area, like as John Massey's. I don't know. Have you ever read John Massey's work before? Because I know you did some reading, but I'm curious. You know about him, don't you?
I know about him, but I never read about him. But and I don't know if he's the one who wrote Egypt Light of the World.
Yes, he did.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I have his books here. If you can see this one here, this is here. This is the second stuff. This is Book of Beginnings, the Natural Genesis and Ancient Egypt Light of the World. Yeah, that's just my little mother's library. But there's some excellent books. They should be in every black person's house to study and read. It's 6 volumes, but each one of these volumes is very important to the reconstruction of our history. Yeah, because it doesn't do it historically. It does it through symbology and observances of the ancient text, so to speak. So it's some great stuff, and he put Africa in the center of the world, Egypt as the mouthpiece, but inner Africa as the center of that. Yeah, like the brains behind everything. Yeah, so the everything stems from out of Africa, and he proved that point for me very admirably. You know, have you ever read Anacalypsis? Have you ever
No,
heard of the book?
I've heard about that book, but I never read that one.
Yeah, that's another excellent work to get. Yeah, that's excellent work. It's two
It,
volumes. That has 2 volumes.
is it Stitching or who's the author?
No. Don't talk about Sitchin around here. No, Zachariah Sitchin. No, not at all, not at all. No, there's another person from out of England. Let me see. Uh,
Godfrey Higgins.
yes, Godfrey Higgins. Yes, Anacalypsis. The Sidis. Yeah. Asiatic ISIS, inquiring into the origins of languages, nations, and religions. Another excellent work to hear, but we don't have these books. Reason why I'm pointing out these books, yeah, is because they're not black, and both those books was written in the 1800s, right? And they
Yeah.
both speak about the origin of things being black. Now, Godfrey Higgins, Esquire, he comes from the point of India, so to speak. For him, origins is in India, but it's still black. It's still black in content. So his whole thing goes back to Africa, but he doesn't realize it. I'm going to say it like that. But like what he says in his book, he says that and the old gods, or the old ancient gods, when they say figurines, the drawings and depictions in stone and wood, said all of them are black. So whatever deity you want to talk about, there's not one white deity. There's not one white deity. So Zeus and everyone else, or the Norse gods, all of them are black. Not one of them is white.
You
Yeah.
sure? Zeus.
Yes. That's why they say he goes back to well, Zeus is just a name, but that's why he goes back to Ethiopia to for the feast, because he's going back to his homeland. Yeah. That's what it says in the Iliad. Yes. So when he was writing that what's his face? Who wrote the Iliad? What's his name?
Homer.
Yeah, Homer. Yeah. He was writing that when they go back, when all the gods go back, they go back to the origins, which is in Ethiopia. Yeah. So yeah, Zeus. And when you look at all the mythology around that, and because this is like what Herodotus said, he says the Egypt, because remember the Greeks went to Egypt to learn. The Romans learned from the Greeks because they came and invaded after them. So they all got the knowledge from out of Africa. So the whole foundation is in Africa. Yeah. So when we're looking at, and I bring these things forth, and of course, about ruins of empires.
No, I don't know.
You don't know by Count Volney?
No, that one I'm not aware of it.
For real? It's in
For
French. The
real.
very reason I said it is because it's French. He wrote, and I write all the stuff here, right? Because it's necessary. Count Volney, he wrote the book.
Oh, Volney. Oh, sorry, I did not understand the way you pronounce it.
Yes,
Yeah,
Volney, Volney.
N-E-Y. Yes, he has a very famous quote talking about the same people. I'm paraphrasing, but the same people that we
Enslaved.
yes, they are the originators of civilization and so on. Yes. I think. Go ahead,
Have you
brother.
read it?
Oh no, I never read this book, but if I'm not mistaken, I quoted
There
him.
are a people now forgotten, discovered, while others were yet barbarians, the elements of the arts and sciences, a race of men now rejected from society for their sable skin and frizzled hair, founded on the study of the laws of nature. Their civil and religious systems which still govern the universe. 1793, he wrote this. 5 years before Hitler said, let me go see if this man was telling the truth. And he took all his corpus of technical civil engineers and all of these scientists and all, went into there and looked around and said, damn, that guy was telling the truth. Everything comes from out of there. Yeah. So yeah, but I tell you, I'm bringing up these books for a reason, because we're talking about this Kwanzaa thing, right?
Yes.
Now these are 3 white authors, and then the other one I want to show because it's very important for me. What's the book I'm looking for? Not that one. Because the Blueprint for Black Power, I got that just the other day. Ancient and Modern Britons. You ever see this book? Oh, let me see if I can get it right. Yeah, this book here, Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie. Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that one.
Have you heard about that one?
No, I haven't heard about that one.
Right. Well, that's another book comes from the 1800s. David McRitchie, and his thing was writing about the black presence in England and other parts of Europe. Yeah, early black presence. So these are the books I'm talking about because they're written by white people from the 1800s and before. Yes, and they all speak about blackness. Now, and all of them was prejudice. Some can put it like that. Just reading the record, you can see a certain amount of prejudice, but all of them speak to truth concerning black origins of things. Yes. So when I look at the work that now all of the books I've just quoted from, you have heard of J. Rogers, yes?
Yes, he wrote like the 100
Yes.
amazing black
Yes.
men or amazing equals, something like that. Now, I never read him, but I've heard many times about him.
All right. Yeah, I have all of his books. Yeah. So now that's another. But he took a lot of his stuff from out of David McRich's work, and he done a lot of field research. I mean, this book's America's Gift to America, Sex and Race, 3 volumes. Nature National Color Line, 2 volumes. Um, um Nature, right, Nature National Color Line. The one of the greatest ones is From Man to Superman. He wrote a voluminous bunch of work, but these are the things that we don't have in our homes. These are the books I think we should hear, and that bringing him to Kwanzaa again. I keep getting to that there because I just talked to my East girl the other night, and I guess it was 2012, 2012, or maybe something like that. I was in Atlanta, went up to for my birthday, and we happened to go to the Shrine of the Black Madonna. Have you ever heard of that place?
I've heard about that place many times. Yes.
Right, yes. I went there, and Ron Kwanzaa. I was just out there for a visit, so I said, "Oh yeah." So she was trying to entertain me. She lives up in that part of the world, and she said, "Oh yeah, let's go to the Black Shrine, the Black Madonna," because she was trying to entertain me my knowledge, you know. So we went, and I have the Husa here too somewhere. Yeah, the Husa right there. Malana Karanga, that's what I was looking for. Malana Karanga, that guy, right? And he came and he paid a visit. I was, oh, interesting. But I knew about his and he had his wife there with him too. That's one of the ones that he had tortured. Not tortured because she didn't torture the light skinned ladies. He tortured the black ladies, and he went, done time for all of that there. And he was always, and for me, because I heard it before I went there, the Black Candle, that was a great movie, and it's a great feel good exercise. But the fact of the matter is like, because we even heard of people like W. Du Bois.
Yes.
Now he great historian, but he was with part of the Boule crowd, the crowd of the crowd, the NAACP, bunch of Jews set up to disenfranchise black people, as far as I'm concerned, because they was totally against the Marcus Garvey movement.
Well, they were beefing on a high level.
No, they was totally against the Marcus Garvey
No,
movement.
I mean Garvey and Du Bois. They
Yeah,
were
but,
really beefing.
no, not Garvey, because people say Garvey had an attitude, and I think he did, and I think he deserved to have that damn attitude, because I don't think if he wouldn't have had that attitude, he wouldn't have done what he done.
He wouldn't have done what he done. Yes, people are
Yeah?
what they are. Matters really is the result. And Marcus Garvey didn't torture black women.
Not at all, not at all. And he was all for the upliftment of black man. But when I look at Du Bois, and I think it's another person, but anyhow, Du Bois, he was very much caught up in the things that we're still caught up in, which is color consciousness, hair consciousness. So the more,
Are we thinking about Carter?
No, I was talking about W. Du Bois, because his thing against Marcus Garvey was black, too black. The similar thing that happened with under the NAACP auspices again, when we get to the civil rights movement, as they call it, and Mother Rosa Parks, how she was used as the poster child when we had a couple of black people, women, that refused to sit where they was not where they weren't supposed refused to sit where they were supposed to sit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
a lot of people don't know that.
they didn't fit the profile because we're still trying to fit the profile. We're still trying to fit in, even though we can't get in. So they used Miss Rosa Parks, who in herself was already a freedom fighter from birth, her family being that way, her profile, in her biography, So she wasn't just a Johnny come lately. She wasn't just a figurehead, so to speak, but she matched the profile because we're always trying to make sure that we don't have nothing that the white people use against us. But they don't need any excuse. They don't need any excuse. They just use anything against us anyhow. You're too black, you're too this, you're too that, you're too the other, whatever. I mean,
You know,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that I read someone who were talking about that movement, and a lot of people don't know that a few people what did the same thing that Rosa Parks did, and there was a young lady who did that, and I think she got arrested as well. But
yes,
she became pregnant out of wedlock, so
yes,
they decided not
yes. Well,
to
actually,
use her. Yeah.
she was already pregnant
Oh, okay. There it is. There
when
it
she
is.
done that. She was
Yeah.
already pregnant,
Yeah.
and
And
that's one. And
yeah,
well, not only pregnant, but see, colorism is a thing.
it's possible they played a part, but I don't have any indication of that. But colorism, I mean, it's a very sensitive issue. It is a
It's
very.
more than sensitive, even in this island. Okay, here, look. You ever heard the saying, um, um, if you're black, get back. If you're
Yes.
brown, stick around.
If you're white,
Right?
you're all right.
If you're yellow, you're mellow,
Hmm.
and if you're white, you're all right. Yes.
Hmm.
You definitely have heard it, right?
I've heard it indeed. I've heard it.
From where did you first learn that?
I don't remember, but I might have read it or I might have heard someone saying
Right.
it. Now, in the French-speaking world, we don't have that kind of
Oh,
saying,
truly. But
but in
but
Africa, mhm,
but and no, but even in France. But then go ahead. I'm saying go ahead.
yeah, in Africa, it's very sad, and I heard it live. Um, if and I'm not saying that all Africans say that, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes two guys are talking, and they're talking about a group of girls
Mm.
or a couple of girls, and one say, "Oh, which one are you talking about?" And they're gonna say the one that's pretty, and the one that's pretty is the one that's light skinned. That's light skin, and it's very sad,
Exactly.
you know.
Colorisms, and not only colorisms, but also lookerisms, because color look, and also hair look, and also nails look, and also all of that lookerisms. Yeah. So the closer you look, the better you are. So, but no, here we go. So, and I'm in Bermuda, by the way. You know Bermuda?
I've heard of Bermuda, and it's not too far from Haiti, is it? Because my parents are
Oh
from
hell,
Haiti.
man! We 700 miles to the west, to the east of New York City.
Hmm.
We are near no one.
Mm.
Yeah, so we seven in between America, Africa, and America. That's where we lie. Yeah,
Hmm.
in the North Atlantic.
But
We're
when I
so
was,
big.
yeah, when I was, mm,
We're so big. We're so big. All we get is a dot on the map. They can't even find us really. It's just we're just a dot in the map. So yeah, but
mm,
here I am in the middle of nowhere, and I have all of these books around me. I had to go get these books. I said I was in Orthodoxy. I got a lot of books. So I was in Orthodoxy for most of my life, but I had to come out because I found like lies. So, like I said, that's why you have the books that I have. I'm glad I have them. So when people was talking about their journey into this conscious life, I don't like to use that term so much, into this conscious life. And like I had started in 1976, right? But I didn't have no mentors. But anyhow, so I sort of like got hijacked. So, but so these books that I mentioned, they were some of my how can I say, foundation to get to where I am today. Yeah.
yes.
So when I'm looking now, talking about that thing, there's another book. You could Google this book. It's called Chained on the Rock. Bermuda book. Yeah,
Chain on a rock.
Chain on the Rock
On the rock. On the rock.
by Cyril Packard.
Book. Oh, slavery in Bermuda. In Bermuda. Okay.
Yes, that is the for me. I mean, this history of Bermuda is great. There's a lot of great information in that book, and I just talked to you about the colorisms, right? So I was born in 1960, right? Well, in 1663, I wrote a few different papers, right? Because like I said, I did in my class, I wrote different papers in my class. So I done papers on the origin of numbers, the origin of the history of the alphabet, names, sudden names, and a couple other different papers. Right now I'm doing a thing on I call it Keeley, cultural unity, because it talks about a certain colorisms. Yes, but anyhow, that thing, that term, whatever the hell you want to call it, that we just wrote, that spoke about when if you black get back and all of that good stuff. In 1663, right? I can put it up. In 1663, that was actually a law, right? And according to the book, it was a law in 1663, and there's three designations. If you was black, right, then you became a mulatto with half and half mix, my children, right? Then you had octoroon, right, which is no. Then you had quarteroon.
Quarteron, yes.
Quarteroon, which is 3/4, which is my granddaughter, right? 3/4 white. I'm 3/4 white. But then you have the last thing is octoroon, which is 1/8, yes. And then after that there, because we're talking about first a black mixing with a white, and then white mixing with that there, and then another white mixing. So we're whitening up as we go down. And after the octoroon, after the eighth mix, we get to white again, because a white person breeding with that octoroon is going to be considered white. Now this was a law 300 years ago, but I learned it as a boy growing up in this island, and that you could hear, and you could hear it all around the islands. You could hear it in America, yes, and it even happens in Africa. So, but I grew up learning it, but I never knew that it was a law.
You know,
so we actually quoting a law.
It reminds me of South Africa. They had that paper by test, and the colorism goes way back. And
not only in Africa, they in the Bermuda too. In America, same way. The brown people bake test.
I didn't know they had it also in America.
Oh yeah,
I heard people in America mentioning it, but they the colorism goes way back. Of course, in the time of slavery, you know, the house slaves, you know, they will more likely be offsprings, biracial offsprings, and you know, and I mean they played many tricks, and a lot of time people mention the Willie Lynch letter, even though it is most likely fake.
No, it's not most likely. It is proven to have been not so much. It was creative. The brother who wrote it was being creative and telling people, says, you know, this is our plight. We have been, and speaking about going back to that law, that same law, and in the book it says that not only was you separated by color, but the treatment that you received according to the law, right, was according to that there. So the dark you were, the worse treatment you got. The lighter you were, the better treatment you got, right? And as the book says, that was designed to cause division. Literally, that law was put in place to cause the division.
Yes.
Which still happens to up until today. So 300 years ago, and then when you look at, like, so I really should send you my paper one of these years. But anyhow, when I done the research, they used 3 people from France, but from out of Haiti, I do believe. You know the ones who wrote the 3 Musketeers, don't you?
Yeah, Alexandre Dumas.
Ah, There was three of them, correct?
You mean the Musketeers?
No. There are three Alexander Dumas.
Oh, I didn't know there was three of them. I only knew about one.
It was the grandfather. He was a general. He actually fought in Africa. He was fighting for Napoleon.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh yes, his father. Oh So here we go.
I only know about the one who's the author of this book, and there's some biographies about him, but he's very famous for having authored this book, The Three Musketeers, and other works, I think, as well.
So here we have. You ever see this book before?
Well, I've heard about it. There was great men of color. 100.
No. See, 100 Great Black Britons. Now that's another thing to get onto.
That's a different one. Okay.
Oh yes. This is World's Great Men of Color, and in her, you have some great works. So he has in her the biographies. Yes. So he has, because it has Beethoven in here as well. So we got General Alexander Dumas, or Alexander the Greatest. That's what Dumas stands for, apparently. Yeah. Dashing commander of Napoleon's cavalry, Alexander Dumas Pere, the world's greatest romancer, Alexander Dumas Fields, remaker of the modern French stage. Yeah. So the second one is the one who wrote the Three Musketeers, the Count of Monte Cristo, and several other great works.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about him. And then his son, right, the last one, he became a great stage writer. He wrote a lot of different plays. Yeah. So there were three very famous ones. But speaking to the colorism again, that the elder, right, and then that's the father. He was being I think from Haiti, but the Frenchman and his from Haiti. So his Haitian slave, but he became a general. Then his father, when they made to France, the one who done the books, his mother was white as well, and then his son was another white woman. So the colorism got less and less. And I put this in my thing because there's an example. When I look at Wikipedia, they was using these people as an example of the washing out of the black. Yeah. So that was a very interesting thing I found. Like I said, it's from 1663. This law was it was actually law set into effect to cause this division amongst us, right? That the brother wrote about in the Willie Lynch letter. Yeah. So he, like I said, he was just, and it's been proven because he actually done an interview on that there.
Yes, with Manu and Pim, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that was a great work. But so the work goes on, and the work and the deception of the work. So hence, I think what you're talking about with this this Kwanzaa thing, it doesn't really bring us back to where we ran away from. It's sort of like there's an overriding. There's
Okay. We've lost a brother. I think and I hope he will call back. If it's come back, brother, it must have been a connection issue on your end. Sometimes our battery die on us, so it's either the connection of the battery. But but in Bermuda, in the middle of nowhere, now I don't recall someone from Bermuda called in. There's a Haitian brother who lives in the Bahamas. You know. Now, what about this in Bahamas? Well, the Bahamas is very very close to Cuba, but it's true that the Bermuda is in the middle of nowhere. It's really in the middle of nowhere. How many people live there? What's the population like? I'm very happy. Hey, very happy that brother called from Bermuda. What's the population like? Okay, so the inhabitants are British, basically. British overseas territory. Now, 63,000 people. Oh my. Uh, oh, our brother is back. Welcome back.
Yeah, something happened.
Yes, no problem. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. So you're just checking out these statistics of Bermuda, yeah? Well, yes,
Yes.
well but this island has a rich history of racism, colonialism. We're still colonialized up until this present day, and actually we're laboring under that colonialization because it's not just a physical thing. It's actually, as we know, a very much of a mind thing, you know.
Yes. Indeed.
And that's what you're talking about with this Kwanzaa thing. I think that's what your primary focus is that we're not really going back to honest. We're not doing the Sankofa thing there.
Yes. Sankofa.
Yeah, it's more
Look
that's
back.
this
Yes.
yeah, that's more like a half step.
Yes. It's a shortcut.
Yes. Because yeah, like you said, because when I learned about that, okay, that was interesting, but it was something. But then when I learned about the nature of Mr. Karanga, right? Because him and Doc Ban weren't the best of friends either, you know.
Him and who?
Doc Ban.
Dr. Ben. Oh, okay. I didn't know that,
Oh
but
no. They Dr. Ben didn't like him at all
oh, they weren't the best of friends. Okay, okay, all right. Well, John Henry Clark, he blasted
because him
Granda
and
more than once. Yeah.
because him and Doc Ban was good friends.
Oh, very good friends. Yes.
So they had the same feeling about Karanga
Mm-hmm.
because they knew his history. Not only did he, but his history about infiltration,
Yes. But
right?
many people deny that he was an agent, and things like that are very. I
No,
mean, the U.S. government will never say, okay, this guy worked for us as an agent. You know what I'm saying? And as long as he doesn't admit it, so I'm
but
aware that.
the history is
Mm,
there. The
yeah,
history
but
is there. People know the history, and that's our problem,
mm,
right? That is our main problem because the history is there. I mean, when we look at uh, when we look at the history of our organization, starting with the UNIA, right?
yes,
Even though it's still in existence, it is nowhere. It is how can I say? It is
nowhere near what it was.
a
Yes.
shadow, a wispy shadow. Let me look at the other great works which we had a chapter here which called the Black Panthers.
Yes.
Yeah, the Black Panther Party for Freedom. Yeah,
Hmm. For self-defense
for self defense. We had a chapter here back in the 60s.
in Bermuda.
Yes,
All
yeah,
right.
they was called the Black Berets. Yeah. And we had the first Black Power Conference was in 1970 in Bermuda. There's a name you're going to look up at Dr. Roosevelt Brown. Paulo Karma Cafigo his code. Yeah. He wrote his biography is called Me One. This man is named around the world. Yeah. Named around the world. Like if I was to plop down somehow in the South Pacific, right? I'm going to oh gosh, I just done this thing here the other day. Uh like the Papua New Guinea. If you went to Papua New Guinea, yeah, because they're being fought against right now. The fighting against some people right now. I forget the name of the island right now. It's not coming to mind. Some things like how like when you're trying to remember things and you know them but you forget them like because
I
you're trying to
know.
remember,
I know. Yeah. Yes.
right? But anyhow, he done a great philosophical and philanthropic work around the world. He was a great scientist, ecological scientist. So he'll try to he'll figure out how to make your environment work for you, type of stuff. But he was in 1970. He had the first World Black Power Conference here. Yeah, and that there's a book that I learned about that happenings. Dr. Bam came to Bermuda.
All right.
Um, um, in this book here, New Dimensions in African History. Yeah, Uh, this book, I'm sorry, this book here. I'm sorry. You got to forgive me. I'm sort of like having like problems with centering stuff.
No, no
But
problem,
anyhow,
brother. I
from
love
the
the
Nile
color.
Valley, so this from the Nile Valley to the New World, science, invention, and technology, new dimensions in African history. The London lectures of Dr. Joseph Van Yakenen and Dr. Henry Clark. Yeah, but in this book here is where I learned that he had come to Bermuda. He had to come to Bermuda disguised to attend that conference because if he was coming like they was because back in the day they was trying to stop a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Um, um okay, here it is. In the 60s, they had a thing in the West called the Black Liberation Movement. We were in Bermuda where the Black Power movement had moved for two world conferences. The British government sent the British Marines. I wasn't part of it because I had. This is from Dr. Bayan speaking. I wasn't part of it because I don't join many things. But they were looking up and arresting the brothers and sending them back to the United States, including a member of the Bermuda Parliament. You may remember him, Brother Roosevelt Braun, who told the Queen where to go on the floor of Bermuda's Parliament. And he wasn't being nice. He called it a syphilitic whore. That's what they called Queen Elizabeth, a syphilitic whore. Um, um, I was at the conference. I had camouflaged myself to get through, but when that man Nathan Wright, head of the Black Power movement, was to show up to give the main lecture, failed to turn up. C.L.R. James, though very ill, got up. I was the witness to this and said, "God damn the communism and any other ism. I'm an African and I'm going to speak if Wright wouldn't come." He forgot communism, accepted that he was an African, but he had a warped way of showing it in terms of his own marriage. So, but that's what he was talking about when he in the 70s when he came here, 60s when he came here. So yeah, the Black Power movement was in this island. Dr. Brown was a very instrumental part of that there, and he left her soon after he was Mama Parliament. He actually, Dr. Brown, championed the universal adult suffrage in Bermuda because up until then they had there was definitely no black people up and voting. You had to have land, you had to have this, you had to have that. But he championed so that anybody who was of age at that time was 21, 23, I think 25, that they would have the ability to vote whether you had land or no land. Yeah. So he was a
What's
great.
a
Yeah.
sorry? What's a layer?
Big pardon?
You said a 25 day that they will go and vote whether they have layer or no
Oh,
layer.
oh, 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 land.
Oh, land. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a
Not
land
land.
vote. So as
Okay.
much land, like if you had land in any one of the parishes, because there's nine different parishes, right? And so they had representatives. So if you had land in any one of the you could vote according to the land. Yeah. So and it was a very complex thing, but that lasted from the time of the ending of enslavement. Well, when they went from chattel slavery into captive slavery.
Oh, the screen is frozen. Um, I don't know if you can hear me, brother, but there's no longer sound coming from your end, and your screen is frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I can hear you, but the screen is still frozen.
In eight. Hello.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Now it's okay. Now it's moving. Your
Yeah. Yeah.
screen was frozen. Yes. Now
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, my internet is it acts weird for so many reasons.
Mm.
But anyhow, so yeah, this is what happening. So I was saying that and the UNIA was actively fought against, yeah, by the American government and themselves, British government too, one would think, and himself, Jamaican government, all of them, right? So we fast forward to the other great movement that we had, and I was talking about the Black Panther for self defense, yes.
Yes.
And so we had chapters all around the world in that same way as UNIA, because when Marcus Garvey here in the 20s, because he came here in the 20s, we had a chapter in Bermuda as well. This is a very small island that you saw, the small island, 21 square miles, 64,000 population, been like that forever. Mostly black people. Um, the great majority is black people, but we're very much colonialized, so we haven't gotten up off our backside to get independence yet. But I've never figured independence was worth anything anyhow. But so like I said, the next movement is going to be the Black Power movement, and that was like you just said, they was actually being stopped from operating. Like Dr. Band said, he had to do camouflage in order to get her, in order to be her. They stopped the Mr. Wright, who was supposed to be the chairman, right? A lot of brothers was being stopped. They couldn't come from America. They couldn't come from all over the world. They was actually stopped. Yeah. So he was doing a lot of things in this island, and like I said, Dr. Brown, Roosevelt, Paulo Camargo, who was very instrumental in all of that there. So we have these organizations that was actually pro-black. Now, if you think Kwanzaa was really pro-black, would they be monitorizing it? Now, who's monitorizing this is not black people. These candles, these artifacts that we're using for these things here is made through white peoples. And they don't necessarily make them, but they have the lion's share of the revenue, yes? So when everybody's gonna do the Kwanzaa, they're gonna get the candles, they're gonna get the menorahs, they're gonna get everything. And they're gonna go to these shops that are selling all these things as manufactured like the the how you say the gift cards. Because that brother was African Science was asking about Mother's Day and whatnot, which is a false equivalency at worst. I'm not even getting at best because there's not, that there's no comparison as you said. What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with black people. But we're going to honor our mothers and we're going to honor our fathers. But it has no thought that this is an African traditional thing that we're trying to get back to Africa and all of that. So that trappings that seems to be black, but yet if it was really black, if it was really about black liberation, like the black churches and like Islam, who have survived up until this time here. They have not been actively infiltrated. I mean, when we looked at what happened to Malcolm X, that was actively infiltrated, but that was under the auspices of themselves. I'm talking about the Muslims themselves. So they didn't have no problem with it. They was how can I say, they collaborated to kill Malcolm X. So if you're really doing something for black people, and like I said, he wasn't brought down until he said, hey, 1 minute, Africa. We need to be talking about Africa. We need to be stop talking about Asia, black men of Asia. We need to be talking about the black men of Africa who is still being exploited and whatnot. Same thing happened to the last brother. What's his name now?
Khalid Abdul Muhammad.
Say that again.
Was it Khalid Abdul Muhammad?
I'm talking about who. Yes, that's the one. We know what talking about it because the same one that brought down Malcolm. It's because Malcolm was speaking against certain things. Yes, and he became the leader. And then when Brother Khalid was still speaking, he started to go back into Africa and speak about Africa, the car, and about you've seen these speeches. He started to go towards Africa very hard, and all of a sudden he got stood down. He got stood down, and they eventually killed him same way, right? But yet Islam is still getting strong. As long as you're not promoting Africa in a serious way, yeah, you could promote blackness. You could Black Lives Matter, but if you can talk about Africa and really doing something really African, then you would get killed. You would get subverted. Your organization would get disbanded, whatever.
You mean today?
Up until today.
Well, I don't really feel the same way. And you're gonna scare a lot of young souls.
No, I know I
It's,
want to wake a lot of young souls up, Jamal. I'm not trying to scare those young souls.
hmm.
Yeah, but that's why I said African science, knowledge. Science means to know. It's the Latin form of to know. Yes, the English form, the anglicized of the Latin form to know. And if we're going to deal with knowledge, African knowledge, we got to deal with the entire truth of it. And if you're going to deal with Africa, like all of the Africans who went back in the 60s, and so all the Africans who fought for African liberation in the 60s, none of them lived to see the fruit of their works. All of them were subverted. I mean, look at Haiti itself.
Well, in order not to have too many young people scared, we have I almost said Elvish. We have Bobby Seale, the co-founder of the new
Ah,
Black of the Black
ah,
Panther Party. He's still there. He's
yes.
very active on Facebook. You see, and
Yeah, I
there's
see him.
others.
I think I've got him. He's in Africa,
Oh,
he's not in America.
maybe you're thinking
He's
about
not in,
Stokely Carmichael.
no, no, no.
Who changed his name to Sekou Toure.
I know.
But but Bobby Seale, I don't think he's in Africa. I think he's in America.
I don't. Well, I'm not going to debate that. But the last time I knew he was in Africa, I didn't even think he was in America.
I mean,
I
maybe he
didn't.
went there,
I didn't
but
because I didn't even know that because I think he'd be still on the most wanted list. You know, I didn't think these
no,
brothers. I didn't think
oh
these
no,
brothers.
oh
Look,
no, it's not,
I'm
no,
looking.
no.
I'm looking at people like that. The lady that's in Cuba now.
Or Asada Shakur.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at
she's
the.
wanted. Yeah, she can't come
She is
back to
definitely
America.
wanted for no
Yeah.
good reason. And look at the brother that's still fighting in jail. What's his name?
Mumia Abu Jamal.
Yeah, that brother there. Yeah. I mean, what they done to the Move Party. I mean, wow.
The move, that was something. It was very vicious, very brutal.
I watched that happen, man. I watched that on TV. I watched it go down. I said, what the heck? Wow.
You
Oh
know the
wow.
move. You know the movement was ran by a white guy, right?
Yeah. Well, no, no, he wasn't a white guy, but there was one white woman in there. I know that. But the I forget the name because all them called themselves free. Yeah.
Mm.
All of them was free.
Let,
But anyhow,
let,
but
let,
it
let,
could have
let, let-
been.
mm.
But
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Well, I think I've read about that years ago, and that surprised me because from what I've seen, the members, the majority of the members were black.
Oh
To
yeah.
top of that, they had dreadlocks, and it's strange
Yes.
that the leader is a white guy. But I just want to address that real brief. Now, African Science wrote, Bobby C was selling barbecue sauce last time I checked,
That's a good word.
and it is true he's been selling
That's
barbecue
a good
sauce,
word.
but
You,
the thing is that he has put in work in, and in the
is that it's
whole.
hello. But is that supposed to be a slight of some sort?
Well, just in case, just in case, but some people point that out. You see, some people point a lot
What the
that
hell that
out.
got to do with anything? He's making barbecues. Actually,
But
that's a smart move.
no, but I just want to say for the record, I mean, Bobby Seale, the Black Panther Party, they carried a weapon. They fought the police brutality, the racism. Uh, their acts were very symbolic. Them walking on the Capitol. We have
Hmm.
the footage. And besides the symbolism, they were really about that life. They
Yes.
had plenty of shootouts against the police, not just because they woke up and said, "Oh, we are anarchists and we want to, have shootouts with the police." It was self-defense. So he has put in a lot of work in. Many Panthers have put in a lot of work in. Many were killed, many were in prison,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
he has
Hunted down like dogs.
he put some work in. There's not many people
And they're still
who
doing
had
it.
his courage and his bravery. So even if he sells barbecue sauce, it's all right with me. He's I don't know if he's in 70s or 80s. I don't
But
expect him to be in the street with
probably close
boots
to
and
the 80s. Probably close
yeah.
to the 80s
I
because
don't
I'm
expect him.
61 now.
Mhm.
I'm 61 now,
You
and
see,
there's brothers was putting in the racks
mm.
before I was born.
but mm. and he I don't expect him to be in the street with weapons and marching. And so, and he did his thing. He's an old man now
Yeah,
who has a very uh, long history, very significant history. So the brother said that it's no slight, and he was just saying that's what he's doing now. But he's
man,
not just doing that now. He's
man.
active on Facebook,
I'm
and people
sorry.
can. Yes, go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, that's what infiltrators do, right? They bring up the most insignificant thing to distract. Oh no, I'm not. No slight. Just what? No. You don't need to say that, man. That was totally unnecessary. That was totally like yeah. That was like okay. But look what it's doing. That's menial stuff. Like yeah, and in this island, right? The it used to be that the trash truck drivers, in order to get to work, in order to get work back in the '60s when I was a little boy, the trash because any people that got work on the trash truck would be guys that would run and get whoever was able to get on the truck, that's who have work for the day, right? So the only person who was guaranteed work was the driver. And there was a lot of drunks that would be doing it. So like drunkards would get on and fight so they could get drink, right? But today you have high rate of pay, you have high rate of insurance, so that people is compensated very well for now for what they used to be very menial job. It's a very necessary job. So I went to a place one time and the preacher was talking about in the day school preacher was talking, oh yes, all you children is going to grow up to be doctors and lawyers and leaders of this and that, right? White collar workers, right? And I looked around and said, outside was this children's daddy picking up the damn trash. So this child that was hearing like raised up above what your data status is, because that's what it is, raised up above what your data status is to become a leader, like a church leader or a government leader or whatever. But yet their fathers outside doing a very necessary work for the community needs to be respected just as highly as the president of a company. You know what I'm saying? So we should
Mhm.
find pride in making sauce for barbecue.
Mhm. And for the record, the brother said, he because you asked about Bobby Seale, or probably meant you mentioned Bobby Seale, and he just
I know
answered
that,
that
man.
he
I know that.
and
I
I
was
mean,
talking about he was in Africa. I was talking about what
yes,
he's doing.
yes, yes, indeed. But sometimes people will put slide. They will not admit that it was a slide. They would just act like, oh, that was just an innocent move. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I
No,
just want
no,
you
no,
to
no,
state that for
beloved,
the
beloved.
record.
I'm sorry, no, beloved.
Yes.
Let me say you something. Let me tell you something, right?
Mhm.
I cannot give people the benefit of the doubt. I
But
cannot.
sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have
Dread,
to.
you see my hair? You see
Yes.
my hair? You see my
Yeah.
hair?
You have
Yeah.
experience in this
Oh yeah.
world.
Yeah. I said I was Orthodox from 1977. Yeah. I started my journey 1976 when I left school, knowing that they had miseducated me. First thing I went out and I went and got a book. You think I'm lying? Yeah. See that book? Africa's Gift to America by J. E. Rogers, yes? This is my first book I got, right? A lot of stuff in this book. Yeah? Because I knew I was being miseducated. But what happened? The next year, I found Orthodoxy, Ethiopian Orthodox Church, yes? And I joined to that, right? Up until 2000. Now, I got children very young. There's a controversy that happened. For 10 years, I wasn't even allowed to enter into the building. For 10 years, literally. And my children was young. When I went back, I was going back with my grandson. Yeah? And I had an experience in there that made me stop. I said, hell of a minute. I've been in this church since I was a boy. I was 17 years old. No woman even. Didn't have a woman. Yeah? I got my children after that, right? 82, my oldest is born. She's getting 40 soon, right? Another one after that, 83. Then my other one came in 88, right? The old girls. And when I had that my experience with my grandson. I had to stop and pause. What the hell happened there? Like I hit a wall. So I had to go research, get my research back on, right? So I found John Massey, right? I found Anacalypsis. I found other stuff, right? And I said, oh, dang, snap. This is the correct information. And you know what it made me do? I went back to Saxon Race, J.A. Rogers' book, Saxon Race, right? 3 volumes. And I opened up the book and I found in there the Black Madonnas, right? Talk about the history of the Black Madonnas, showing that, oh, they was pre-Christian. These are the pictures of Isis or Ast and Hassan Haru all over Europe, that they have just changed the name to Mary and Jesus. Yeah, the same iconography is the same iconography. You could go all over Europe and find it. Yeah, that they're calling now. And when I said, I heard it, man, what the hell? I said, oh man. So I'm saying to you, in '76, I started my journey. I got waylaid until 2000. So I have no time for people's foolishness, because over half my life I was spent in the wrong spot, because I had nobody to guide me and teach me correctness. I had it in my fingertips, but I didn't know, because I had no, like when people talk about meeting Doc Bairn in the 70s and all of that, I was already, look, I had Doc Bairn's book, Black Man of the Nile and Nile and his family. You know that book?
Yes, yes. Probably one of his most famous books. Now I haven't read it.
Yes.
I, what I said sometimes that kind of like the equivalent of Dr. Ben for the African Americans, for the French, for the French speaking world. It is. Hold on, let me just try to stop this music. My baby girl is just there. I would change room because my daughter is all over the place.
I see that. I see
But
that.
it's Shekanta Diop. He's the one who's been teaching a lot. Yes.
I have him too. I tell you, I just read a paper on him, on his book, Civilization of Barbarism.
Yes, yes, and yeah, he has so many work. But let me just change room because my daughter is
Go
just
ahead.
yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna play a 3 minutes clip, and then we can continue.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair, because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you so busy frying it. That's why you so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, you know, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black, but they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose, but we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion. Go ahead.
All right, brothers and sisters, thank you for holding on. Have to
No,
change room.
but I want to say that my phone is running out of charge. So it's like on 10% right now. I would just talk until such time. I probably got to get another charger because it's not really doing the job. I probably need to get a headset too because I've been needing to get that for a little while. But my there's a second-hand computer and the dang sound port is not working, so I can't just stick with it. I have to go get one of these USB microphones or headset microphone things like. So I can just put it into the USB port and utilize it like that. So so I'm saying that, but probably I'm going to talk as long as, but I'm going to have power on that there, so it's all good. So now, but I've been doing a lot of talking so far. What you
it's
think?
all good, brother. It's all good. I wanted people to call in, and I think you're the first one to call in from Bermuda. Then that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I heard you mention Ast and Heru. So, have you started learning the Medu Neter a little bit?
No, I heard you what you're saying. I actually just at the grill the other day, and I got Bill Manley's Egyptian hieroglyphs for complete beginners.
It's a very good
Yeah.
one. It's the red one, right? Yes, it's a very nice one.
Yeah, I just was round to the grill the other day and said, "Let me get it." I haven't looked at it yet.
It's
So
very well made.
Yes, but
well
I like to use these names because like people don't be. I like I said, I have a class, and it's not very well attended at all. You can't give this stuff away for free apparently. I mean, you talk a lot of nonsense and you get a lot of likes, but you talk something like this, heard very serious, and then you don't even get no feedback on it, So like I've written several papers, like I was just talking about. The one I've got right now, because I'm affiliated with a place is called Fresh TV, yeah. And so I know the brother, and so I've been doing my classes of a sort. Just I'm going on and about an hour and a half from about 7 to 8:30. I'm just reading my papers that I wrote, yeah, the information that I got. And so the one I'm doing right now is called Keely or Culture Unity, because Keely is a what they call red ore rattle, yeah, and it is very ancient. So like I said, I read an article one time and it was talking about the soul train industry. It's basically people that have sailed over from France or Spain about 20,000 years ago. So they said rather than coming across the Bering Strait as the normal hypothesis is about the peopling of America. And when I read this article, I said, "Oh, they was talking about that there." So I said, "Well, yeah, I remember when I was reading the Civilization about barbarism. They was talking about the Grimaldi, and a lot of people don't have understanding of what is going on. The Grimaldi is not a name of a people. Grimaldi is not people in how we say it. It was in the name of those people. Grimaldi was the name of the house of Grimaldi, aristocratic family that sponsored the excavation, the archaeological dig, and so hence what they found was named listed as Grimaldi. Yeah.
The
So
Grimaldi man, yeah.
yes. So when I'm reading this, so I went to Wikipedia to start, to look at this research, and in there they had the Grimaldi man, but then when they read down further, they was denigrating Shikanja Diop. So hell, they was calling him Afrocentrist. I heard it. I said what? I said hold on a minute. The only one so no Shikanja Diop, all he was doing is he in that book he took the research that the white people found, white people wrote about, and he broke it down for us.
And he did that actually. He did a lot of quoting. I mean, the book called African Origin of Civilization, Myth or
Yes,
Reality is really the English translation of his magnum opus called
yes,
Nation et Culture, which can be translated as um, Negro Nations and Culture, but
yes.
Negro in like more scientific usage, because it has a bad connotation today.
Well,
So
it
it's like
simply
saying
means
the
black.
black civilization and culture.
Yeah,
But the English version
mm-hmm,
is not as large as the French version. So in the French
yes.
version, there's so much quoting. He goes in depth, and indeed, a lot of people are trying to disqualify him and try to label him as Afrocentric stuff like that. But when he was alive, they did not run their mouth
Nope.
because he went to Cairo in 1974 with
Yes.
plenty of PhDs and assisted by Obenga, Theophile Obenga. He did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's gone, many people open their mouth. You know what I'm saying?
All,
You know what I'm
all,
saying?
all
Yeah.
throughout that article, yeah, all throughout that they was trying. But like I said, for me, and that's what you say that he didn't write original stuff. I mean, but what I mean by original stuff, he took other people's works and he expounded on it. Yes, but yet
But
when I'm looking,
he still wrote, he still wrote a lot of original things,
oh no 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 no,
and he
I'm
was a
so
scientist as well, he was
oh
a scientist
no
as well, not just a
I'm
historian.
no 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 no. I'm extremely well aware of his works. I'm I'm very much self-taught, right? So, just um my local library. Hello.
Yes,
Oh
brother.
yeah. I'm sorry. Just my little library, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have more, but so I had to go. I got a lot of books, so I'm very well of his credentials and what they did to him to discredit him, even at that conference, even though they found that they couldn't refute anything him and Theophile Abanga presented. But so they done the next best thing was to shut the door on him. So he said, look, you got hypothesis, but we could prove the fact that they matter right now. Let's just do this. No, we ain't gonna do that. And they shut him up. And personally speaking, I personally think they killed him anyhow. Yeah, but that's just how
No.
because I think like that there. I don't think that these people allow people to live. Like I said, all the freedom fighters of the '60s, they killed.
Well, from the 60s onward, from the 60s onwards, they went on a good killing spree. But I don't think that Diop, Shakanta Diop was actually killed. And a lot of time, us black people, we like to claim that someone was killed. We do that with Bob Marley, even though there was this injury in the foot, and apparently they said that some so-called doctor came out of nowhere and gave him a shot. But even Tupac, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, it's a conspiracy," and blah blah blah, but it was really some street gang stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not
But
denying that.
and there's a possibility sometimes that some of our leaders were killed, but it's not necessarily the case all the time. Um,
I,
but what is it that I wanted to say? Um, Now, African Science Road didn't realize that Bobby Seale was charged with torture too. I still have respect for his contribution, though. Now,
whatever,
the brother seems like he's kind of
whatever.
a little bothered because of the revelations about Kwanzaa, which is nothing new, because the article that I read is dated 2012. And before that, around 2008, there's a
Hmm.
brother, a French-speaking brother, who wrote an article explaining that Kwanzaa was plagiarized from Hanukkah. And I have
Of course.
an African American sister uh, who comes from originally from Africa, from the Congo. She grew up in France and then she went to live in America. So she's been there for so many years. So I can label her an African American. I remember the first time I told her, well, Kwanzaa was plagiarized from Hanukkah. She got excited. She got, like angry, like, who's this guy who
Mm,
wrote that article? And I was like, man, I'm just saying. But back
yeah,
then, I didn't know about the torture. In 2008, I didn't know. But
right.
now, our brother African Science wrote that Bobby C was charged with torture. I never heard of that, but if he was charged with torture, it was probably a dude, and a dude who was either an agent or suspected of being an agent. Because the Black Panthers, they didn't play no game. They didn't play
Not
that
at all.
stuff. You know what
They
I'm
couldn't.
saying?
He couldn't afford to.
So it's not the same as Karanga torturing a woman. Them being
Oh,
naked,
like I said, this
possibly
brother
raped.
African science, and I said that's what I call my class, and I spell it with Afraka for a reason. Yeah, for a reason. But now this brother here doesn't seem like, personally speaking, and I won't really do it, but personally speaking, he doesn't seem like he holds Africa in any high esteem. Yeah, he said that um, um but that's not the Afro-Asiatic guy that you have on your platform for the most part. The Afro-Asiatic. I can't hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I was muted. I thought it's my daughter's playing games and she gets on my nerve now. Really getting on my nerve now.
Look. She was better for a couple of minutes ago when she was first born, when she couldn't move and you had to pick up, and now that they're able to move,
Yeah,
she's
it's
at
not
the
something
age that
else.
I like to give them back. I
Ah,
like I like them up until the time up until the time that they start to move around on the end. Yeah, once they start moving, it's a wrap.
it's trouble.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. They are into everything.
Indeed. And now, Farrakhan, we heard talking about we are disfigured. Our phenotype is the essence of ugliness. Afro-Asiatic, Asiatic black man or Afro-Asiatic, he goes by many other name, Asiatic lion as well.
Mm.
Uh, he doesn't have any problem with that because that's the doctrine of his organization. So that's the way it is. There's tens of thousands of people who don't have a problem
That's
with that.
that's
The
that's
majority
that's
of Pan Africans don't have a problem with that.
Yep. But I know because, like I said, it comes from that law that I quoted from 1663, right? That division, because like in the book Chain and Rock, he says, look, the white people, when they was talking about Christianity, said, oh, there was no Christians brought to this island, black ones, right? There's no black Christians brought to these islands, no black Islamists too, because they did not want to say, well, because you're a Christian, you should think of terms of freedom. They said if you're Christian, you should think in terms of being a good slave. So when I look at the history of Islam And in relationship to the history of Christianity, the reason why Christianity became so pervasive in Africa in the later part of the years, not the early part of the years, is because in the early part of the years, I'm talking about from 600s or so, the Arabs had already invaded Africa and changed people's minds. You understand? Islam, the way that the Christians got all their slaves out of Africa is because the majority of people that were selling the slaves was Islamicized. That's what happened to Timbuktu when they destroyed Timbuktu. Even though it was supposed to be Muslims, when these people came back from Spain, 1492, they done a number on Africa itself. So that when you find that the people was doing the selling was the same people that was Islamicized, then we find that, oh, okay, fine, that's what happened. But I don't think that history is really taught that the 1,000 years, almost 1,000 years before the Christians came in, the Arabs was already there making slaves out of Africans, not only in body, but in mind as well, which gave them a great platform to start the transatlantic slave trade off. So yeah, that was a serious element for me. But that's not the history that's ever taught, that the Islamic people are just as worse as the European peoples, if not worse. I didn't say that.
Many of our brothers like to say that Islam came in peacefully and stuff like that, and
But that's such a total lie.
but well, our people, but now African science, I don't know. I mean, he's writing that it's like he's trying to make excuses for Karenga torturing women. But it's all good. I mean,
I'm looking at what he wrote again.
If you want to celebrate Kwanzaa, suit yourself. But there's no excuses for him torturing black women. I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on now. But anyway,
my niece is calling me. Actually, I have a very grief in my family because my mama just passed Saturday, and we're trying to deal with all of that there. Yeah, this COVID thing is really serious. So I got to take this call. But I'll be back at some point in time.
Okay, brother. Thank you very much for calling. Okay.
Bless up, man.
Okay. And
hey.
earlier, okay, hold on. I'm going to remove you. Okay. Earlier, the brother said, gosh, I haven't heard that for a long time. That's when I was living in England. And I wanted to ask him if he understands the Jamaican patois and the patois from Trinidad. The patois from Trinidad and Jamaica seem to be close to me, but I don't really speak Jamaican patois. And Brother Hailey, I still see you. Did you want to come back already? I don't know if you're still having your call. Okay, yeah, it's gone. Always feel free to come back. So when he said land, I thought he was saying layers because he was saying land, like kind of, it makes me think of Kian. Instead of saying Ken, he said Kian. So I'm thinking I wanted to ask him out of curiosity, but maybe we'll have some other people from Bermuda, but I'm wondering if there are some Kemetic people in Bermuda, but let's connect brothers and sisters. I'm saying I'm in France right now. And my parents are from Haiti, so I know the Haitian Creole. Last time we had someone from Mali calling in. We have people from different parts, different islands, different African countries. So let's connect and build, and later on, we'll do some great things. But I'm very happy to have that brother from Bermuda, and it's actually the second time I'm live streaming today. I did it when I was on lunch break, and I felt like just live streaming again, and I'm glad I did, because it's not that I don't care about all of the other brothers and sisters in the West, but don't get me wrong, but Bermuda, that's really in the middle of nowhere. So okay, African science, it seems like you want us to have almost a dissertation about Karenga and his torture. But I mean, if for you it's cool, then so be it. If for you it's cool that he tortured black women, because yes, I mentioned. Listen, brothers and sisters, he says, okay. This is what he wrote. The woman Karenga tortured testified that they think Karenga thought they were infiltrators. It says that in the 1978 article link. So what? So what? Second thing, they also said drugs. Then he wrote, he's not making excuses. And then he wrote, when I brought up Bobby Seale torture accusations, you said that's how they get down. Now, Bobby Seale torture allegation or accusation, where does that come from? I never heard of that. Karenga was sentenced. He was convicted for that, you see. So if there are accusations about Bobby Seale, I mean, hold on. I did write. Okay. Says okay. Okay, so African Science wrote, when I brought up Bobby Seale torture accusation, you said that's how they get down. I was saying the Black Panthers, there was a guy, I don't know the name of the documentary, but the guy is a musician and he used to be part of the Black Panther Party, and he talked about how the Panthers used to rob drug dealers. They didn't play no games. They had shootouts with the po-po. They didn't play no games. So if someone was a traitor or infiltrator, matter of fact, the movie by Mario Van Peebles, who just lost his father, Melvin. He just lost his father a couple of days ago. That beautiful movie by Van Peebles called Panthers, and the soundtrack as well, the theme song Freedom by various artists. That used to be my main video on YouTube back then, back when YouTube had a 10 minutes limit. In that movie, there was a scene where someone is an agent and they snap his finger, you see? And the guy who does that is the brother, I think his name is Bokeem. I forgot his last name. He's the one in the Tupac music video, I Ain't Mad at Ya. You see? That's the one, So it's when you see that in a movie, they do a lot of research for movies, particularly historical movies. There was that, you see. So when I say that's how they get down, that's what I'm saying. It's a possibility that some people were suspected of being agent and they got the beats break off them. I don't know, you see. But we're dealing with the organization who fought for liberation and who used to handle traitors, infiltrators, and agents. And on the other hand, we have the leader of a black organization who has two black women stripped naked, beaten, and tortured for I don't know how long, to the point where his wife leaves him and testifies against him. Come on now. But anyway, and there we go. Now, you see, and what you're doing, Brother African Science, the French Pan-Africans, they're doing the same thing for that fake professor who's been scamming for 30 years. Yesterday, one guy said, oh, we are all like nuts, a word that means similar to nuts. You see? So now you're talking about Martin Luther King. I love MLK, Martin Luther King, even though he was an alleged adulterer and woman beater. Now, I never heard about Martin Luther King being a woman beater. I never heard that, Now, alleged adulterer, I've heard of that, but this is alleged. But this is not torture, brother. Wake up. I mean, come on. You love Karenga so much Now you want to bring up everybody, and it reminds me when people do wrong, and they love to say, "Well, Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying? Malcolm X, he did his thing. He was a gangster. You know, he was selling drugs. Some say he was pimping. You know, apparently he did a little bit of pimping too, or he was more or less close to pimps and prostitutes. But that's Malcolm X before he got into the knowledge. That's before he became conscious. Karenga was the leader of a black organization. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Malcolm MLK allegedly cheating on his wife. That's no torturing black woman. Come on, brother. What kind of allegory you trying to make? You know what I'm saying? Now, woman beater, I don't know where that comes from. You know. Now he wrote, "I do not love Karenga. You're putting that on me." Yes, you do love him, not in the sense like in the funny sense, but you keep defending him. You know, try to talk about dirt on other people to make a correlation, not a correlation, to make some allegory, analogies. You know what I'm saying? As in, well, okay, even though he might have done this, other people did this as well. I mean, come on now. We can never be cool with black women being tortured. And besides, not because they were angels or infiltrators, because he thought they tried to poison him. Come on now. I mean, damn, if that's what's cool, we can tell it was not one of your family members. We need to have some morals and some standards and some limits. Where are our limits? And it reminds me of the rapists and pedophile who are still celebrated and defended. Now, and besides what you're talking about, now once again, Karenga was convicted and jailed for that. You know, so that's a fact. That's a matter of public record. But what you're coming up with Bobby Seale and MLK, that's allegations. It's not the same. But you know what? Anyway, it's all good. Brothers and sisters, feel free to call in, you know, because we're going back and forth. There's so many messages. And you know, now Leo writes, wrote Hotel from Houston, Texas. Hey, what it do, man? Now, we have Major Commander who came in earlier. Hotel to you. And now African Science World, I'm not a Karenga fan. Oh, my brother, you must reevaluate the definition of fan. To me, you are a fan, a fanatic, a supporter, someone who appreciates him, not just a holiday Kwanzaa, because you went at great length to come up with alleged death on people. And you know what? You mentioned, since we're still on some Karenga stuff, I'm only replying. Since you said, "Oh, I agree," they plagiarize the candles. What is your stance on him torturing black women? I'm just curious. You know, what is your stance on Karenga torturing black women? I'm waiting now. I'm going to be very patient for your answer. In the meantime, I'm sharing the calling link. There it is. Call in, brothers and sisters. If you never called in before, now is the time. Now is the opportunity. I may not be live streaming every day, or if I do every day, I might not do it for so long because it's been 2 hours and 38 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And remember to support your brother. You know, it won't hurt. But the main thing is, please hit the like button and call in if you never called before. If you called before, feel free to call in. It's all good. Now, African Science wrote what I said about MLK's history. You just haven't read Ralph David Abernathy book. Okay, no, I haven't read that book. Brothers and sisters, were you aware about Martin Luther King being a woman beater? Were you aware of that? But my question remains, African Science, what is your stance regarding Karenga torturing two black women? Okay, there is the answer. My sense is that I'm glad he got caught and served his time. He should have done 10 instead of 5. Okay, all right. You have standards. You have limits. I was expecting you to evade the point, and I was wrong in my expectation. Thank you for answering. You didn't have to. Other people would have bounced. They would have said, "Oh, you know, I got to go now. my boss is there." Brothers and sisters, you know, and sisters, I don't know why. When I look at the demographic, that YouTube gives me, it's like 80% of males and 20% of females. So I don't know if I've said some harsh stuff, because you know that I'm not known for simping, brown nosing, cupcaking. Um, yeah, sorry about this. Um, Sisters, don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. It would be good to hear more from you, and it'd be a good look anyway. So I might one day, or maybe tomorrow, come up with a title says "Sister Call In." Sisters call in. Now, Alvin wrote, "A black man should never torture another black woman or any black person." African Science says, "I am not a fan for real of Kuranga. I never read any of his books. I am a fan of Kwanzaa, though." Oh, yeah, well, you made that clear. Jason Baker wrote, "It infuriates me to even hear of black people getting beaten on." And African Science wrote, "I just wanted to check if you have a vendetta." I'm glad you asked that question, because I've addressed a lot of people who did some very foul stuff. And we're not talking about stealing candies. And sometimes people like to say, in the French speaking world, Pan Africans love to say, "Oh, you're jealous. You're bitter." Whenever you criticize someone who did some foul stuff, like raping women or children, apparently the rape of women and children, for them, it's like not that much of a big deal. But if you criticize someone, a Pan African, for doing that, or for defending rapists and pedophiles, or for defending scammers, if you criticize scammers, then you are labeled all type of things, including an agent, agent provocateur, and hater, jealous guy, bitter guy, and all that. So sometimes they would say, "Oh, there's something personal." Now, Kurenga and me, there's nothing personal. The dude's still alive. He's PhD. He's a member of ASCAC. ASCAC don't have a problem with his past. And ASCAC usually has annual conference, and they're doing their thing. So some people might feel like I'm jealous of Kurenga. I don't know. But it's not impersonal. It's just that, I'm not cool with someone torturing black women. And there's chances that he was, I don't know, maybe I should word it differently, that there's chances. Many people claim that he was an agent. There was a killing of 2 Black Panthers, and one of them, if I'm not mistaken, was Banshee Carter, and the other one that was killed, I think, was his brother. And the guy who did that, apparently, it appears that they were left scot-free. I'm not really too sure, but hey, I would leave it there. Now, African Science wrote, "Karenga served 5 years in prison. If it were up to you, what would be his punishment?" I don't really have an answer for that. My thing is that his behavior as the head of an organization to torture black women on the suspicion of them trying to kill him, that's very foul. And then him created a fake holiday by plagiarizing Hanukkah, that's very foul. Now, him being suspected of being an infiltrator and CIA or FBI agent or whatever, some people will say it's an allegation, it can never be proven. But besides this allegation of him being a an agent, we still have that fake thing, a plagiarism of Hanukkah presented as an African holiday when it is not. That's fraudulent. That's some fraudulent activity. And him torturing the black woman, I mean, he speaks volume. You know what I'm saying? So that's my stance. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to celebrate frauds, plagiarism, and I said the same thing with the 7 Circle Quran. It's plagiarism, and so we're not supposed to uphold plagiarism. It's funny because in his day and age, if someone plagiarizes, if it's at school, then he will get a 0. I mean, in America, the grades you do more like A plus to like ED, whatever that's bad. A plus, that's the best. In Europe, in the French speaking world, the grades are like from 0 to 20, 20 being the best, of course. So you will have a 0 if you plagiarize, if you're caught plagiarizing. Now, if you release a book and you plagiarize, then you can get sued and you can be condemned to pay damages, and that could include a share of your sales. So plagiarism is nothing positive in this day and age. Why would it be fine back then? You see? Now, African Science wrote, you do know that he created Kwanzaa 5 years before the torture, right? Is that relevant to you with respect to Kwanzaa? What difference does it make when he plagiarized Hanukkah? I mean, dang. You know what, brothers? At the end of the day, it seems like, getting the facts right doesn't matter. People will take the Ramadan or the fast, put a black spin on it, and give it an African name and say, there it goes, our traditional African ways. And they will do the same with what with Hanukkah is being done. They can do the same with Christmas. People can come up with a black Jesus or black Santa Claus and say, hey, there we go. I have Santa brother. Okay. If somebody will come up with Santa brother, a black Santa Claus like dude who talks Ebonics, and we're going to celebrate that and say that's our stuff, that's African. That wouldn't make sense, would it? But anyway, now, brothers, if you don't call in, I'll put an end to this live stream because I've been flowing for a while now. So I would like some callers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sharing the call link again. Now, Jason Baker wrote, it's disgusting of people back in the old times to be slashing and beating black women. If I had a time machine, I would go back and personally put each beater and slash it down. It's disgusting. Okay, well, African Science, you're still on the Kwanzaa stuff, and I've had my share. I already quoted what Kurenga said with that, about Kwanzaa being African or not. So I've quoted the article. So I did not come up with the article. There was no vendetta. There was no conspiracy on my end. I'm not the first one who brought to bring that issue of Kurenga torturing black women and plagiarizing Hanukkah. I'm not the initiator of that. You see, so people can deal with the facts or not. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Some stuff are just not convenient, like Elijah Muhammad with the secretaries. That's not convenient at all. Some people prefer to shoot Malcolm X rather than to deal with that. Just because someone you revere or appreciate does something foul, you don't have to defend that foul stuff. You know what I'm saying? So nobody wants to call in, brothers and sisters? For real, for real? Should we call it a day? Come on now, call in. Come on in. Come on in. Brothers and sisters, we're reaching the end of the year, and I think I did that for a little while. It didn't last because I saw that my people are very shy, for lack of a better word. That's a good euphemism. But at one point I said, I just want people, I don't want people who are not identified. I want people, to have a webcam. And maybe by January, I don't understand that question, African Science. When will you be? Oh, okay, I understand now. I don't really have a schedule for the live streams. Usually I do that during my lunch break, and sometimes I do it when I go home. But people just need to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And it's safe also to subscribe to Twitter. Now, all the social network, including Facebook, that I don't really use like that. It's Ma'at Forever, so it's very easy to find me. You see, and Ma'at Forever is spelled here. See, M-A-A-T Forever, all in one word. Ma'at Forever. So usually when I go live, share it on the YouTube community, and I share it on Twitter as well. So if people subscribe on Twitter, then they will get the notification. You see, and I lost my thought. Yes, by January 2022, maybe I will say, okay, from now on, it's only people who have a webcam, only people who show their face. But now that I think about it, there's so few people who call in, and I might not do it yet. But at some point, if there's enough callers, then I will do it, because from experience, and I'm talking 17 years since I started my website. And first, before all these live streams, it was message boards or forums. From experience, when people are identified, they be way more careful about what they say. Jason Baker wrote, so that I've just learned will reincarnate himself and was teaching others to do this. So it's surpassed the recycling of us and became reborn as himself. Okay, I don't understand that statement. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to share some links. Some of you might not be aware of that great video entitled Kemet and Ma'at, before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So I'm sharing in the chat now. Boom. If I've not seen it, then watch it. It's the video that I am the most proud of. Second link I'm sharing right now is a link that deals with the color of the Arabs of the 7th century, according to Islamic sources, including Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Alvin has to go. He says, I must go. For now, this being most knowledgeable, peace to you all, Matt, forever. Peace to you, Alvin. Thank you for being there. And if you have time, watch the video, Kemet and Ma'at. It's a video that I'm the most proud of, and I think you will like it. I think all of you will like it. So it's been a little fashion thing. It's been a little trend for a while of people claiming that Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the prophet of Islam, was actually black, and the Arabs of the 7th century, his companions, and so on. And this has been debunked greatly in details. And the article is there. That's the last link that I've shared. Now, for those who don't know, because sometimes you have to remind people, this is my cash app. I wouldn't mind a little donation. $1 will do. I'm not greedy. If you appreciate my work, my effort. And I'm talking about 17 years. But anyway, all those who prefer PayPal, this is the PayPal. Okay. Private Metal Nature classes, this is a flyer. Deception of Asiatic black men, you will learn that the Asiatic black men movement derived from Freemasonry. Yes, indeed, yes. A lot of people are not aware of that. White Semites Black Awakening, very important, because a lot of people feel like the Semites were actually black when they were not, well, at least from 2500 BCE. And that video of Farrakhan teaching that we are disfigured and that our phenotype is the essence of ugliness, this is the link. So if you want to share it, you know what I'm saying. If you want to see a full hieroglyphic sign list, then here it is there. And finally, my English website, if you want to share it. So it looks like we are going to call it a day, brothers and sisters. Nobody else called in. Thank you for being there. It's been 2 hours and 53 minutes. Brothers and sisters, stay safe, stay healthy. And if I'm allowed to by the Necheru, I will definitely holler back at you. Ho. Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving Metal Nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at, before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Neture classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class, and all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Neture class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/Ma'at Forever.